Pecha Kucha 298, Spawn Volume 7. It's time to omnibus. So yeah, I've got Volume 3 and I've got Volume 7. And having read the two, I finally just decided, you know what, let's go buy a full Spawn book. And let's see where the plot starts to fall apart. Because there's so much going on in the Spawn stuff. It's great. But you can't have something be so good and have it consistently be so good without payoff. And then once you've had the payoff, but you have to keep going, how many sequels can you do before it's turned into Batman? You know, nothing ever happens. Excuse my phone. Right, so luckily, even though I've missed several volumes, the book has been kind enough to keep me abreast of the situation Spawn finds himself in. Now, they haven't filled me into all the details. I'm not quite sure why Spawn's got a giant scar going down his face that requires him to stitch it together so that his head doesn't fall apart. But it sure looks cool. And, you know, Todd McFarlane starts this book with a very ambitious kind of spread that he's clearly imagining in the TV show, in the movie. It's got sound effects, it's got lighting. But I think you can follow it as a reader, and then it's, you know, Spawn's been on a journey. He's left the city, but this is his righteous return. You might notice something different. Yeah, what happened to his cape? Well, apparently he did a lot of things when he was outside of New York. And they took a monstrous toll on his costume, which is also part of his superpowers. What's the first thing he does when he comes back? Play a practical joke on his homeless buddies. Like I said, he dresses like Batman, but he's got the heart of Spider-Man. This is one of those things that gets over with me. You know, Al Simmons, Spawn, is a guy in a really uncomfortable situation, but you know what? He's got a heart of gold. One of his homeless friends gets attacked by the he's called Redeemer because it literally says the name is Redeemer. A soldier of heaven kidnaps one of Spawn's friends because he has some kind of necrotic Spawn energy about him and heaven wants answers. To rescue said friend, Spawn invades heaven's building that they have, because of course they have a building in New York, super tall. And he kind of threatens to assault this little old lady who may or may not be God, to get his friend back. And then which he does, and kind of says to his homeless friends, maybe I shouldn't be around here anymore because I'm bringing some really nasty dudes down to bear on you guys and you have enough trouble. They kind of turn around and say, shut up, Al. We're all in this together. We're bums. It can't get any worse. Don't worry so much. Also, with all the things going on, Clown, or the Violator, the demonic entity whose job it is to train Spawn, but who is jealous of him and therefore is constantly trying to fuck him around, well, he comes back and they have a fight. But at this point, Spawn's costume has evolved/mutated. The Violator is forced to run away. What does he do? He makes a Faustian bargain with Al Simmons, his former employer who had him killed, Jason Wynn, who is involved in screwing around with Spawn's wife and child and new husband. During these events, Spawn decides to kill a drug dealer in a very Punisher-style way, where this lovely old man, Calistrogo, or whatever his name is, who is clearly a mentor figure in this book, kind of says, hey, stop being an asshole. Because being evil is kind of not the best way to oppose the devil when you don't want to be a hell spawn, which is kind of what Al's supposed to be doing. There's also these kind of Laurel and Hardy comedy cops trying to figure out what's going on, who, the more they're in the books, the more I like them, even though it really should be the opposite way around. Todd McFarlane's doing a good job of getting me on board with his extended cast. In this book, Spawn, who constantly is hit with plot revelations, is hit with the plot revelation where he discovers Jason Wynn's the man who ordered his execution. He's already gone after the guy who actually killed him. Now he's moving up the ladder. But in pursuing that person, he finds himself in an awkward situation where he's, basically getting a gun pointed at him by someone he thinks should be on his side in investigating the murder of Al Simmons. So there's a lot of melodrama going on in this. There's a lot of action. This is comics the way comics were meant to be. Gritted teeth and explosions. Spawn has been very, very, very loud in this book. He's getting very reckless, and he's being told kind of in every possible conceivable way to calm down and back the fuck off. Instead of doing that, he goes to visit his wife, tries to explain that her husband has betrayed her by betraying him, but she's kind of just scared by the giant zombie Batman in her house, and then her kid comes in, and Spawn is forced to retreat into bitterness and despair. I've just got to read this thing from start to finish. There's so much going on. I want at least to see how the first arcs wrap up, because Todd McFarlane's done a great job of trying to do something with this. And of course, in the background, I'm getting through my comic, doing my thumbnails, trying to make it not suck at least half as much as it could. And I had fun drawing a picture of Bison where I kind of got the chalk brush out, which I think is my best rendering tool for my personal preference. And I'm just slowly working my way from the top of the picture down, trying to actually give it definitive detail. And it's something I'll definitely be continuing with next week, unless, of course, on the spur of the moment, I change my mind. Also, I'm still ducking and diving and darting between the pages of my Smiley Show 7-page return to form. This one, I was like changing the color choices I made. Everything I've been doing has been arbitrary because I've done it over several weeks without any consideration to trick myself into doing it. I've definitely helped pull this page together. Vegeta is reflecting on how he wants to kill Goku and Smiley, but if he just thinks about doing it instead of doing it, he gets to do it in all kinds of crazy ways, involving throwing lions and dressing as Robocop. So by the time I'm finished with this, it'll be a keeper, but that might not even be this year. Still, I'm digging my ditch and I'm heading in the right direction. So that's the end of Pecha Kucha 298, and I will see you next time.